law. They fight to get you the most money possible. It doesn't matter your legal status. You still have rights. Remember, it's the insurance company's job to say no. It's B&D Law Group's job to get them to say yes. Car, motorcycle, truck accident experts, dog bite specialists, slip and fall teams of lawyers. Expert lawyers are standing by to take your call. Call them right now at 916-545-7772 and discuss your case. It's always free to call, 916-545-7772. Get the compensation you deserve and pay nothing unless they win. Call them right now, 916-545-7772. Remember, when the insurance company says no, it's their job to get them to say yes. Get the compensation you deserve regardless of your legal status. Call now, 916-545-7772. 916-545-7772.
Bigger than loans and down payments. It's an oasis. A restaurant. A theater. It's home. At Golden One, we get it. Big or small, we work with you to reach your goals. And as a not-for-profit credit union, we'll help you find better loans and rates. So owning your home is more possible than ever. So join us. Let's make your dream home happen. Equal Housing Opportunity. NMLS number 669333.
Teaching is creative, collaborative, intellectually challenging, and every day is new. See why teachers have better work stories by going to teach.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by teach.org and the Ad Council.
For gaming and dining, affordable and authentic American and Asian cuisine, and the region's best gaming action is in the heart of downtown. Visit capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sometimes up to a point and a half for pulling cash out of your home's equity. Those points are on your whole loan balance, not just the cash you get. For example, if your loan amount is $400,000, that's a $6,000 fee. For a limited time, Owning will waive this fee so qualified borrowers can get a cash-out refi with absolutely no closing costs of any kind. Besides the usual no title, escrow, appraisal, etc., no fees for a cash-out on a 30-year fixed mortgage. So if you're in process somewhere and paying fees, call 8332-OWNING or go to owning.com, where our rate and APR for a no cash-out fee 30-year fixed mortgage is 2.625%. But hurry, the mortgage industry won't like this, so who knows when this special goes away. Call 8332-OWNING or go to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions. Equal housing lender.
Here are 4 ways to prepare before a power shutoff. Update your contact information at pge.com/mywildfirealerts so we can reach you. Plan for medical needs like medications that need to be refrigerated or devices that require power. Pack or restock your emergency supply kit. Ensure backup power sources are safe to operate. To learn more, visit safetyactioncenter.pge.com. Victims of LDS Mormon Church sexual abuse. If you were sexually abused as a child by a member of the LDS Mormon clergy, listen closely, as you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Even if it happened decades ago, it does not matter. New laws in California have been put in place to create a way for victims of child sexual abuse to finally get justice and closure. If you suffered abuses from any LDS Church clergy member, including those who knew about the abuse but failed to stop it, call our law firm's 100% confidential Mormon Abuse Helpline at 800-519-3798. No matter how long ago the abuse happened, our attorneys may be able to get you justice, closure, and a very meaningful financial settlement. But hurry, there is a time deadline to file a case, so call 800-519-3798 right now to learn if you are eligible to seek justice and significant financial compensation while your case is held completely confidential. Call 800-519-3798. That's 800-519-3798. 800-519-3798.
Is it a taco? Yes, it is. Step 1, create toasted melty goodness with queso and cheddar cheese grilled between 2 flour tortillas. Step 2, stuff it. Del Taco's new stuffed quesadilla tacos are filled with grilled chicken, crispy chicken, or carne asada, then topped with lettuce, tomato, and more cheese. You can even get them guapped up, too. Del Taco's new stuffed quesadilla tacos are cheese-tastic. Del, yeah. Price and participation may vary.
Buddy, that's disgusting.
Don't follow extreme routines. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness. Join now through September 16th for just $1 down and get back to a real routine with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join today for $1 down, $10 a month, and cancel anytime. Deal ends September 16th.
Join Planet Fitness for just $1 down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime now through September 16th.
See club for details.
Let's get ready to rumble! welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton with Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to Big C, it's all the people around the country that love sports. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Really appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. Just say, write this down, ladies and gentlemen. I mean it. Write this down. It's going to be a quiz. Just say, if you want to listen to Big C Sports podcast, we have 17. That's 17 podcast applications. Just say Google. That's 1. Or Alexa. 2. 3, Spotify. 4, Spreaker. 5, Apple Podcast. 6, iHeartRadio Podcast. 7, Castbox Podcast. 8, Deezer Podcast. 9, Podcast Addict. 10, go to Podchaser Podcast. 11, Gio Savan Podcast. 12, Podtail Podcast. 13, Podcast Addict. 14, Hubhopper Podcast. 15, Stitcher Podcast. 16, Radio Online Podcast. And 17, Luminary Podcast. And I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. All you got to do is say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our national sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce myself as a sports universe. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can also follow Big C Sports on television. What? Television? You don't say! Just go Xfinity Comcast TV. 2, Apple Podcast TV. 3, Roku TV. 4, Amazon Fire TV. And a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV. Oh, you'll be sitting there looking at us so pictures. So what I love about Big C Sports Podcast, ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast, as I say, let's get ready to rumble! And a beautiful. It is Monday, September the 13th, 2021. Welcome to the show, ESPY nominated. No, there's no scripts. People say that's painfully obvious, Charlton. No scripts, no producer in my ear. Yes, painfully obvious. And also, no three-way teleprompters. I do my show with my higher self. I always get my help from my son, Malcolm, who sends me stats. Also, at my times, my daughter, Daisy, at times, and Big C at times in the past sent me stats. I do the show solo. I always honor God. I will always, 1, I produce. 2, I direct the topic. 3, I broadcast the shows, every single one of them. 4, I do all the sound effects. Excuse me, did I break your concentration? 5, I do the commercials. Here's Johnny. I do all of that with Big C Sports. I tell the stats. I do storytelling. I do the play-by-play. Touchdown, home run, three-point play. He's going all the way. All those good old things. And then 9, I upload every platform to 17 podcast platforms. That's incredible. And also 4 TV platforms. Never missed a show since September 12, 2015, when Big C Sports Podcast started. Also, I love saying Big C Sports is the only sports show in the universe. And you can Google it. That praises God and gives scripture for our young audience. And older ones too. Genesis 13:15 says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. Now that's worth applauding. Don't you think it's worth applauding? Also, the book of James 4:2 says, we have not because we ask not. So just ask. Everything you want in life, just ask. I want to just say I had the best birthday with my son Malcolm over the weekend. What a handsome young man. That deserves applause. Let's clap. He gets some applause. A handsome young man. The best son in the history of the universe. I love you, Malcolm. You're amazing. You're intelligent. Future millionaire. All these great things that you can do. You have so much going for your son. Always rise and shine. Stay away from negative people because they suck. Just don't let them suck the life out of you. If that makes sense to you, all fair and level. We're always rise and shine. Always rise and shine. And speaking of rise and shine, I want to also say I give out our Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You can help them too. Pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones. I love doing that, especially all the 9/11 celebrations and ceremonies that we had over the weekend. Thoughts and prayers to everybody who had any type of loss, and of course the country lost too, but really just appreciate our first responders. I'm also very happy to be affiliated with Valley, home with weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV of the first place San Francisco Giants. When you reach out to them, just tell them Charlton wants those darn World Series tickets. You know that coming. I'm coming around the mountain, Elizabeth. The great Red Fox, I'm coming. You'll be coming around the mountain when you come. The great Johnny Cash. Actually, my favorite song when I was a young boy growing up, the great Johnny Cash. But reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. The goal is simple. We want to recruit 10,000 real estate agents to help put their properties on the market. And I'm introducing the Big C real estate dating app. You can clap. Yes, all the houses are happy now because houses need love too. You don't want to be out there alone. You don't want to be an empty house. No more lonely houses. There's a song called No More Lonely Hearts. How about the Big C Sports dating app for real estate? Not for you good old boys trying to lip lock, but no more lonely houses. You don't want to have a lonely house. You want to put that furniture inside, put that 3-car garage or the pool in the background. Whatever you want to do, you need the Big C Sports real estate app. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this country, helping to put their real estate properties on TV, just like McDonald's does it, State Farm does it, Nike does it, car dealerships are doing it, sports teams are doing it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage and United Wholesale Mortgage, the number 1 or 2 lenders in the country on the wholesale side. Also, I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, play Big C Sports Podcast. I mean, excuse me. Some of my pastor fans, they don't like when I say that, but they got to have a personality too. God said, let there be light. It's all fair in love and war. You'll see our apps pop up. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by your Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, but it's 100% on your game. It goes great with the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. So what's all this exotic meats? That's why I say it tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. That's how you can tell the exotic meats. You can't tell in your hands. All fair in love and war. I'm telling you, what's all this exotic meats? It goes great with Budweiser Zero with Big C Sports Podcast. Also, I want to say thank you, especially for the kickoff of the Raiders already underway. Super Draft Pro Fantasy Sports by Caesars Entertainment, all-purpose website. Go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports, and you too can get in on the game. Featured in Sports Illustrated, Yahoo Sports, Associated Press, RotoWire, Sportico. Subscribe to unlock exclusive fantasy in your sports betting experiences with the Super Draft Pro, the official partner of Caesars Entertainment. Go to superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. It's all fair in love and war. I really appreciate what's going on in sports. My goodness, we had a lot of football played over the weekend, from high school also to the college sports. How about that Pac-12, huh? How about I told you a Buckeye was a nut. They'd be a nut to schedule those Ducks. That's all fair in love and war. But I want to cover some high school football. Also, we have some college football to round up for what happened over the weekend. Really looking forward to all the great things that happen in the world of sports. I'm also excited about the game tonight with the Las Vegas Raiders. They're taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Going to be a beautiful Allegiant Stadium. Have some football players that are down there watching that, some guys that I know. So wish them nothing but the best down in Southern California. But I also want to get into Big C's Friday Night Lights, the roundup for Big C's top 10 high school football programs. Of course, Mater Day, number 1 Mater Day of Southern California, returned to action Friday, and they cruised to a 49-7 victory over Liberty High School of Henderson, Nevada, one of the top teams in the state of Nevada. It was called the Polynesian Football Classic, and that just cements Mater Day as the number 1 high school team in the country. The Monarchs are one of 3 teams from Southern California's Trinity League that might put together a team that can compete for USC. You want a head coach at USC? Unfortunately, they let go of Clay Helton because they lost to Stafford in a blowout fashion. There's a guy by the name of Bruce Rollinson. He wins like every national champion there is. Over the last 5 years, he's won 3 of the last 5 at Mater Day of Southern California. Give Bruce Rollinson a chance. All we have to do is keep all the modern day players from going to Alabama and Clemson, and they'll be fine. He can do that. I want to say modern day number 1, of course, St. John Bosco, Bellflower. They're number 3 in the country. IMG Academy out of Florida, they are number 2. But if they go up to number the program, Servite High School of Anaheim, California, they're all in that same league. Servite of Anaheim, they're number 9 in the country. They've scored 398 to 86. That's how much they've outscored their competition. But I also have some breaking news. It was 1991, December of 1991, at the Oakland Coliseum, that a high school called De La Salle High School of Northern California, they have the winningest high school football streak in the country at 151 games. Well, that was snapped in 2004. They started the win streak with Merced High School. It was 34-14 out of Merced High School, one of the top teams in California at the time. And they won every single game until they fell to Bellevue, Washington, up in Seattle. And that was 151 games. Well, that's a lot. No one's ever eclipsed that in high school football. That was 12 years of never losing a game, playing the best competition in the country, and they were featured in that show called When the Game Stands Tall. Now, this football program, they just lost for the first time to a team in Northern California since 1981, St. Francis High School of Mountain View, another private school in the Bay Area. They scored touchdowns with 16 seconds left to knock off De La Salle, the number 1 team in Northern California. It was 31-28, becoming the first Northern Cali football team to beat the Spartans since 1991. That was a span of 318 games. 318 games! So those kids, that's 30 years ago. Those kids weren't even born. They said, why we got to take blame for the loss? That's all fair and level war. But I'm going to run down Big C's Friday Night High School football top 10 in the country. Number 1, modern day Santa Ana. They are 2-0. Last week they beat Liberty of Henderson, Nevada, 49-7. Number 2, IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida. They're 3-0. They beat Northwestern Miami, 52-21. And number 3, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California. They are 4-0, and they knocked off East St. Louis, Illinois, 42-26. It's amazing. Now their next game is Oscar Smith of Chesapeake, Virginia. These schools in California are so dominant that they're going all over the country to find people to play them. Number 4, Westlake of Austin, Texas. They're 3-0. They beat Mansfield Summit of Arlington, Texas, 59-21. Number 5, Thompson, Alabaster, Alabama. They're 4-0. They beat Spain Park of Hoover, Alabama, 49-3. Number 6, Virgin Catholic, Ordell, New Jersey. They are 2-0. They were idle, and they will play next at Del Barton of Morristown. Number 7, Bishop Gorman, Las Vegas, Nevada Bowl. They'll be down at the Raider game tonight. They beat Lone Peak of Highland, Utah, 35-7. Their next game is Hamilton High School, Chandler, Arizona. Number 8, Collins Hill of Suwanee, Georgia. They beat Rome 34-0. They are 3-0 on the season. Number 9, Servite of Anaheim, California. They are 3-0. They beat La Puente Bishop Amat 58-7 over the weekend in Southern California. Next, they'll play Sierra Canyon of Chatsworth, California. Last year's California Division 1AA runners-up to Central High School of Fresno. Number 10, Center Grove of Greenwood, Indiana. They're 4-0. They beat Ben Davis of Indianapolis, Indiana, 45-21. It's all fair at Leavenworth. So that's Big C's top 10 high school football teams, all fair at Leavenworth. When I come back, we're going to get into some football on the college level. Of course, how about that Pac-12? It's all fair at Leavenworth. We'll take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back for the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports on 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications, all fair and level. Where I'm going to say, are you ready for some football? Of course you are. College football, there's so much talk around the country about who plays the best college football, but the top 25 is always everybody's opinion. I have my own thoughts on it. I told you, I think the Pac-12 with Oregon and UCLA are going to do very well for the Pac-12. I still like what Utah did, even though they lost to a state rival in BYU. Maybe a little bit of home cooking in that game for some BYU Cougars. All fair and level war. And then Colorado not even considered one of the top 3 teams in the Pac-12 South. They took Texas A&M and had the lead over Texas A&M until the final 3 minutes of the game. Texas A&M was ranked number 5 in the country. So if the number 5 team in the country and Texas A&M out of the SEC if they're picked to challenge for the SEC championship with Alabama and Georgia, if they were beaten up until the final 2.5, 3 minutes of the game by a Pac-12 team that's not even one of the top 3 in the Pac-12, that's one of the top teams in the country at A&M. That tells you how good the Pac-12 is. Don't listen to those guys, Paul Feinblom and Paul Feinfregat and all these guys that sound real tall on the radio. They all sound a lot taller on the radio. The late Jackie Gleason, all friend level. But number 1, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, they go to 2-0 with wins over Miami 2 weeks ago in the season opener. It was nice. And it went over Mercer. You know, Big Bad Mercer. Okay, you got to have a breather. Alabama every now and then can beat anybody. But Big Bad Mercer, obviously, that's what Alabama wanted to schedule. But here comes the real test for Alabama as it goes on the road to face a top 15 program in Florida. And no player would be under the microscope more than Bryce Young. He came out of modern-day Santa Ana, California. The great Bruce Rollinson considered him to be the next football coach at USC. Modern day, every year they graduate about 20 D1 scholarship players. You can just get the Trinity League, and all those coaches, they know him. That could help build up USC's program. Quit looking for guys that don't know how to win at the high school level. If you get Bruce Rollinson in modern day, you got people who have their foothold on high school recruiting over the last 30 years. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. The great Bryce Young, sophomore quarterback. At the same time, he's amazing. Very poised. He's very dominant. I think he'll have a big game down in Florida. He's seen it all. I mean, this kid has seen it all at the high school level. Everything. Everybody says, God is so good. It's all fair in love and war. Looking forward to that. Number 2, I'm not going to put everybody's own opinion. I'm going to go with my own rankings. I'm going to go number 2 in the country, as Big C Sports called it. The Oregon Ducks face another ranked opponent on October 23rd at UCLA. They should be undefeated heading to that 6-0 at the time in that game. They also have even better healthy defense with Kayvon Thibodeau, who missed the Ohio State game, and freshman linebacker Justin Flo. He also missed the Ohio State game. That game was a blowout. Okay, the point spread got covered. If that makes sense to you. Ohio State, number 1, Oregon covered the point spread because they won the game. Of course they covered. But there were some shenanigans going on to keep Ohio State close later in the game. They were blown out until the 4th quarter. You can Google it. Oregon did their thing, the Pac-12. That Pac-12 doesn't play good competition. All they did is go into Ohio State in front of 100,000 crazy fans. They were nuts. The whole crowd was nuts. They were like a bag of nuts. Wait, a Buckeye is a nut. All fair and never were. But Oregon went in there and did their thing without 2 defensive starters. And they're going to be Big C's number 2 team in the country. No matter what Paul Fine, whatever his name is, those guys don't know that thing. They don't know their top side from the back side at times. Pac-12 is back, never was gone. They just stopped kettling our teams. But no road trip would be more difficult than the one they just survived against Ohio State. If Oregon can prevail at UCLA at the Rose Bowl and at Utah November 21st, it's time to take the Pac-12 seriously. They've always been taken seriously. Kick the Southern people out of the room. Those guys are liars. You see with your own 2 eyes, Colorado, they're not favored over UCLA, Arizona State, or Utah in the Pac-12 South. But they just took the SEC's number 3 ranked team, number 5 in the country at the time, A&M, and had the lead going into 3 minutes left in that game. Oh, the SEC plays good football. Really? All fair and love and war. They all hide behind Alabama. I'm going to put, in my opinion, I'm going to go to the number 3 team in the country. I'm going to say the Oklahoma Sooners. When you think about it, Oklahoma, they can score points. They could have scored 120 points in this game. But they began playing less competition. Tulane is not the same as this Blue Boys. They had a shaky outing to Tulane. And then you think about what they've done. Oklahoma's just a good team that's able to score a lot of points. I like Oklahoma because their offense has put a lot of points on the board. I'm going to give them that. I am going to give a little bit of respect to another team that I think has a lot more than people would give them credit for. I kind of do it with an upset stomach. But I'm going to say this, and I know people may not agree with me as far as who the number 4 team in the country is. But it's my opinion. I have my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. So you don't have to like it. But I'm going to say Ohio State. I'm going to put Ohio State as a number 3 team in the country. You can laugh all you want, but they're a good team. They were just outmatched by a much faster team in Oregon, a team that was much more physical in the Oregon Ducks. But Ohio State, I'm not going to drop them. I'm going to keep them at number 3 in the country. If they were number 3 in the country coming in and they lost to a better team, let them stay at number 3 in the country now. Ryan Day, we've got to get things fixed and get back to games against Tulsa and Akron to finish September. The Buckeyes have a window to do it after surrendering 66 points in the past 2 games. Mostly they've allowed in 2 games in that span under his coaching regime. The defense has to be a priority, but there's still opportunities to impress in the selection committee. That's just my opinion. But I like what they've done, and they've done it on the field. I'm going to go number 4, the Penn State Nittany Lions. The defense has been excellent in the first 2 games. It was tested early on against Wisconsin, and then Penn State beat Ball State handily. That defense will get tested again with Auburn from the SEC coming into Happy Valley, and it may not be so happy by the time they leave. It's SEC versus Big Ten. I'm going with Penn State to win that game. Auburn scores 60 and 62 points against Akron and Alabama State. 2 Dragon Slayers from the South. But the Tigers defense allowed only 10 total points so far. The competition is going to step up big time when they go up against those good boys, the Nittany Lions. What's going to win in the fight, a Nittany Lion or an eagle? Or is it a tiger? They don't even know what the mascot is, eagle or tiger. I'm going to also show a little bit more respect to Georgia. I wasn't impressed with what they did in not even scoring an offensive touchdown in their narrow win against Clemson with a banged-up offensive line. I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs as mine. I'm going to put them number 5 in the country. They're 2-0 despite quarterback JT Daniels struggles with an injury. Georgia beat defending Conference USA champion University of Alabama Birmingham by 49 points. Yeah, that's a gunslinger, aren't they? The University of Alabama Birmingham. They didn't even have a football team a couple years ago. But they got the chance to get the win, get their offense going. The last time South Carolina came to Athens, the Gamecocks pulled off a 20-17 stunner that dropped the Dogs out of contention for the college football playoffs. No matter which Georgia quarterback ends up starting, Daniels is probably the best draw for Georgia. So I'm going to put them at number 5. That's my opinion. Number 5, I'm going to go number 6, the Iowa Hawkeyes. I lost this one. I thought Iowa State would get them. Congratulations, Iowa Hawkeyes. They're 2-0. They're red hot. They're a very good team. They've won 5 straight games against ranked teams for the first time since 1960. And 8 in a row overall. The defense is leading the charge, including picking off the better quarterbacks in the country, Michael Phoenix and Brock Purdy. But before I even put that, that's over the weekend. So I'm going to flop. I'm going to switch this one. I was going to put UCLA at number 6, but I have them at number 4. I'm going to put UCLA at number 5 over Iowa. I know they were off over the weekend, but I'm going to go with UCLA. They're a really good football team, and they deserve to be better than a lot of other people out there. They're 2-0, including the big win against LSU, the SEC powerhouse, and then they were off this week. They got a game against Fresno State, which is a good team at the Rose Bowl, but I think UCLA will win that one at the Rose Bowl. And the Bulldogs, which beat Cal Poly on Saturday, appear even more formidable in the wake of Oregon's win at Ohio State. So Fresno State took Oregon to the wire, and Oregon blew out Ohio State. I was telling people Fresno State would cover against Oregon, but they would lose that game. They're also going to lose the game at UCLA. It might be around 10 points to 12 points, somewhere in there, 10 to 12 points. But they're a good football team. People just don't give them credit. So I'm going to actually take UCLA and put them number 5, and I'm going to put Iowa at number 6 in the country. Number 7, my number 7 football team in the country. I'm going to stick with the Clemson Tigers. They are 1-1, and I do it with it begrudgingly, but they had a clear game plan against South Carolina State. Establish the run. You got to run. And establish the run they did. No surprise they'll try to do it again when they open ACC play against Georgia Tech on Saturday. The big question, when you think about it, will they get DJ Uiagalelei bouncing back after last week with a QBR of 52.4? It's hard to learn much from an FCS opponent, but he's a good quarterback. He'll find the right balance. I'm going to go with going to make some hit at number 7. Texas A&M Aggies, they're 2-0. Jimbo Fisher moved to 2-0 with the skin of their teeth. It was the skin of their teeth. Speaking of teeth, this is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meat? By the skin of their teeth, the Texas A&M Aggies got to win over the Colorado Buffaloes. Buffalo's it's an exotic meat from what I understand. That makes sense to you. But the Pac-12, within 3 minutes away from winning that game over the SEC, They're not even ranked in the Pac-12, Colorado. But it was a physical game. They were more physical than A&M. A&M got a blown coverage in the secondary, got a touchdown pass to win that game. It's all fair and love and war. But they'll come in with a win over Colorado. It was just 10-7. Nothing to write home about. But that tells you how good the defense is in the Pac-12. All fair and love and war. Number 8, Cincinnati Bearcats. They're 2-0. It gets real. Indiana wouldn't have been smacked out by Iowa week 1. It still would be ranked somewhere in the top 20. Cincinnati wins a big game in Bloomington. And then they have a trip to Notre Dame later in the year. They'll probably get knocked out of the top 20, in my opinion. And number 10, I'm going to finish up. The Florida Gators, they're 2-0. Dan Mullen said he will start quarterback Emory Jones against Alabama. He'll probably get sacked about 5 times in that game against Alabama. But they also have a chance to prove if they're able to slow Alabama's running game and passing attack. I don't think so. Also, there's a backup by the name of Anthony Richardson. He'll be a storyline to watch also. Had the most explosive plays through 2 games. But Mullen said Jones is a more complete player. They're going to need both of them when they get beaten up by Alabama. I'm going to finish at number 10, Notre Dame. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, by the skin of their teeth. 2-0, the Irish defense gave up 70 points in his first 2 games, each decided by 3 points. And Purdue is next on the schedule, followed by Wisconsin and Cincinnati. That's a tough gauntlet for our Coach Kelly and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They play like champions, all fair and love and war. So that's the Big C's top 10 college football programs. Really appreciate college football. It's all fair and love and war. I'm going to take what's called a Big C pause. When I come back, I'm going to say, are you ready for some football? NFL style, as the Raiders are taking on the Baltimore Ravens down at beautiful Allegiant Stadium in it's a beautiful, hot Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C timeout, also known as the Big C pause. You can follow Big C Sports on 17 podcast applications all over the sports universe. Really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. Also, I want to say follow superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports, and you will see the best sporting apps out there in the history of the universe. Sponsored by Caesars Entertainment. superdraftpro.com/Big C Sports. All fair and level war all over the Raider game tonight down in Las Vegas, Nevada. All fair and level war. I want to go over Big C's NFL power rankings. What a way to play football. I mean, football is amazing. I got Big C's top contenders in the Big C Sports power rankings. I'm going to go with number 1. All that matters, Tampa Bay Buccaneers took care of business in week 1. The possible result, when you think about it, what happened when they knocked off the Dallas Cowboys in Tom Brady fashion, to come from behind win down at beautiful Raymond James Stadium. So they got the win, and that's all that counts, even though Dallas played pretty strong. Anyone that saw the game over the weekend, the Kansas City Chiefs, them good old boys, with a come from behind win at home against the Cleveland. This is for you. As Kansas City Chiefs 22-10 at halftime, it felt like there would be a huge shakeup in the NFL power rankings according to Big C Sports in the AFC landscape. But naturally, touchdown Patrick Mahomes. What a great player. That good old boy can do his thing. And then Tyreek Hill came out and proved why they're the 2 best players in the history of the universe. Chiefs come up to the line of scrimmage. Patrick Mahomes, I-set formation, 4 wideouts, 5-man front by the Cleveland Browns. All fair labor. The Hawks with the snap, rolling right, rolling, looking, throws downfield. It is caught. It is caught by Tyreek Hill. That is at the 10, the 50, the 5 touchdown. Jeez, what a play. You thought that touchdown Patrick Mahomes was going to be sacked on that play, or at least have an incomplete pass, but his chemistry with Tyreek Hill is shown to be the difference, as well as also a botched, punt by Cleveland. Kansas City's defense has problems, but it doesn't matter when you have the most physically talented quarterback in the history of the NFL, and that's touchdown Patrick Mahomes. He's only called touchdown Patrick Mahomes by Big C Sports. Gonna bring you to another team that's in Big C's power rankings, and everybody has their own opinion about it. I won't say don't make too much of it right now, but I'm just going to put them up there because it's only week 1. There's going to be some shuffles. But I like what the Los Angeles Rams did. They say Matthew Stafford's an improvement from Jared Goff. Maybe he is. He stepped in and did a good job against the Chicago Bears that, in my opinion, yeah, I know they're saying start Justin Fields. Maybe they should start Justin Fields. Just an opinion, though. But he found a perfect home in Los Angeles. What a beautiful stadium, SoFi Stadium in Southern California, Inglewood. Sean McVay hit a 326-yard, 3-touchdown performance to kick things off. Where the Rams aren't quite as strong defensively as last year, the upgrade in quarterback, we'll see if it makes a difference because they were playing the Bears. The Bears are suspect on defense anyway. I'm going to go also out of the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks. They went on the road on a day when NFC West teams, they all won their games. That means most likely the championship of the NFC will be decided by an NFC West team and maybe somebody from the East or the South. We'll see. When the NFC West teams are all went undefeated, overpowering the coach, think about this. Many people raved about the defense that the Indianapolis Colts had before the season. In touchdown, Russell Wilson had a great performance. I think Russell Wilson shows that Carson Wentz is overrated. I know a lot of people have stood by Carson Wentz. But if Cam Newton can't get a job in the NFL and Carson Wentz can, with that performance, what a joke. That's just my opinion. Touchdown Russell Wilson did his thing. And I'm telling you, there's something about he and Metcalf that can do their thing up to the line of scrimmage. The Seattle Seahawks, Indianapolis in a 5-man front. And the snap goes to Russell Wilson, rolling to his right, throws downfield, has a man, and it's caught for the touchdown! DK Metcalf, 40 yards! The great Russell Houdini Wilson finding DK Metcalf again, just as he said he would do on Big C Sports. I want to tell you another team that I like. Cleveland, this is for you. The great Cleveland Browns, touchdown Baker Mayfield. They gave Kansas City all they wanted. That game was a lot closer than a lot of people wanted it to be, because had they learned to run the ball a little bit better, they probably could have won that game. I know touchdown Patrick Mahomes did his thing, but you got those running backs in the backfield, Hunt and Chubb, they're the difference maker. I know Baker Mayfield, they want to have him throw the ball more, but sometimes you got to play like John McCain back in the days of USC. The ball's not that heavy, just run it. Just run it. But Mayfield did plenty of things right, but scoring just 7 points in the second half, that final interception, that should have been a run play. Again, they haven't figured it out yet. They just haven't figured it out. You got two of the most dominant running backs in your team, and they're passing too much. That's just my opinion. There are few things for Cleveland Browns that clean up both sides of the ball, but they just did a good job against Kansas City. Touchdown Patrick Mahomes is undefeated at home. In September, hasn't lost a game. That's a tough mountain to climb. I'm going to bring you to another team. I like what the Pittsburgh Steelers did, and Big C Sports called them that they go into Buffalo and they win that game. Yes, they won that game with defense. Defense was nasty. You wanted to see something different from the Steelers, they delivered. Offensively averaging 5.2 yards per pass and 3.6 yards per carry isn't what you want to see. Think about it. When Pittsburgh's defense can put the claps on an explosive area attack, you can control field position. And then Watt came in with his 2 sacks, and he was in the face of the quarterbacks all day. He was doing a lot for the Pittsburgh defensive line. I thought it was Mean Joe. I said, Mean Joe Green, he's a 10. But he was playing like Mean Joe Green back in the day. Watt got his money and got a win for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, that good old boy can coach. I don't care what anybody says. That good old boy can coach. Buffalo Bills, I'm still going to put them up there. They were viewed as a potential Super Bowl contender. And that's exactly what Buffalo played like in the first half against the Steelers. Everything came apart after Tomlin and the good old boys figured them out. Josh Allen's a good quarterback, but they played up against the steel curtain defense. The Steelers outscored them 23-6 in 30 minutes. Google it. Josh Allen's 5.3 yards per play, and then 79.9 passer rating. Didn't play anything like one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. $250 million. You try to go up against the steel curtain defense. See how it works out for you. That's Mike Tomlin's defense. The Bills' offense is another grueling test against Miami's defense coming up this week, and I really appreciate what they did. I'm also going to bring you to a team that the San Francisco 49ers, I'm picking them as the NFC West will be the 49ers. But again, you got Seattle, you have the Rams, you have Arizona got to win. I think Arizona's going to come back down to earth, though, my opinion. But the San Francisco 49ers leading 38-10. They were 38-10 before all the bookies called in. Just my opinion. They were showing all signs of a Super Bowl contender that could easily beat up on a bad team. They picked up Jared Goff again. They've been used to doing that. They said, thanks for the tasty meat. In fact, the Lions, this segment sponsored by the Big C Burger, is a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. Well, lion, last I heard, was an exotic meat, and they eat them all in Northern Africa, all spread 11 more. But when the prop betting got involved, the Lions came back, being outscored 23-8 in the final 20 minutes after losing Jason Barrett to a torn ACL and some trouble in the development. We'll see if they rebound against the Eagles. I think the Niners will beat the Eagles. What's all these exotic meats? This segment sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all these exotic meats as the 49ers are going to Philadelphia and also knock off the Eagles. I'm going to tell you something. I really like this team, and people may laugh at it, but the New Orleans Saints, the Saints did their thing against touchdown Aaron Rodgers, who didn't have any preseason. Rodgers is now 1-5 in games in Florida. Maybe that heat and humidity got to him. I told you he was 1-4 going into the game last Friday. Legitimate reasons concerning the New Orleans Saints entering Week 1. Michael Thomas, multiple key contributors were either sidelined by injury or suspension or lost in free agency. None of it mattered. None of it mattered. Think about this. The Saints forced the Packers' red zone turnovers for the first time since 2019. And they made the reigning NFL MVP look like the old rust bucket. And Winston throws 5 touchdown passes. You throw 5 touchdown passes. This is a guy that nobody wanted to play. Nobody wanted to keep him. But Winston, 5 touchdown passes. That's incredible. Really love touchdown Jameis Winston, what he did. He was very poised under pressure. And I really love Winston up to the line of scrimmage. Green Bay Packers 5-man front. 4 wideouts for the Saints. Winston, the snap, rolling to his right. Rolling, looks downfield. Throws, caught in the corner of the end zone. For a touchdown! Touchdown! Saints! Who that said they're going to beat them Saints? Touchdown, Jameis Winston was doing his thing. Really appreciate what he did. And I really like what he did in that game. Because he came into a game where a lot of people didn't like him. They said his toes were old. They said he had old toes. His toenails were too long. They were laughing at him. He didn't cut his fingernails. He didn't know how to pay for a crab cake. That was down in college. But it's all fair and level war. I really like what's going on in the world of football. And I'm going to bring you up to another game that people might say, well, not so fast, my friend. How about Mac Jones? We don't know about Mac Jones, but I do about the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa wasn't really sharp to open the 2021 season. But Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins, think about that. What matters is that the offense did enough to beat a strong New England Patriots team. They had a lot of people that said, I'll be back. The coach, the Jedi Knight coach, Bill Belichick, that said, Cam Newton's our starter. Cam Newton's our starter, and then he cut Cam Newton. And he goes to Mac Jones, a rookie quarterback, and made enough mistakes and got sacked enough to lose that game for the Patriots. I wish him nothing but the best, but that's a loss on Belichick. The Jedi Knight. Was it Tom Brady or Belichick? Who was the reason they won so many games? Google it. Just a thought. You got rid of a former NFL MVP for Mac Jones, and now you're 0-1. All fair and level war. What matters is the offense did enough to beat a strong New England Patriots defense. Brian Flores schemed up a defense attack that limited New England's offense. A win at Gillette Stadium for a road team? Come on. With a quarterback named Tua that nobody liked. They would have won that game with Cam Newton because they had a run-pass option. Mac Jones, you don't have a run-pass option. Hey, but that's what they want. They got the face of their franchise, so they say. We will see. I'm going to bring you to another game in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I called this game also. I think they only lost 2 games over the weekend. I thought Green Bay would pull out a win against New Orleans. And I also thought that Tennessee would beat Arizona. That didn't happen. I think I got all my other picks right. And tonight I got Baltimore knocking off the Raiders. But I also picked this game. The Chargers, the Lightning Bolts, them good old boys. Wasn't pretty for Los Angeles Chargers in early game. Think about it. An elite defense. Regardless of the Ryan Fitzpatrick injury, which is the best for him, we learned that Brandley State is going to get a lot of talent out of that defensive core. Los Angeles is a very dangerous team in the AFC. I'm telling you, the Cowboys shouldn't stop them in Week 2 either. Dallas might go down 0-2 because this team can play. That's a kind of a pick'em game. We'll see what happens. But they're at home in front of a packed house at SoFi Stadium, and I don't see them losing to the Cowboys at home. Dak Prescott's going to have a good game. but I really like what the Chargers can do. I'm going to bring you up to my number 10 in Big C's power rankings. They're playing tonight, already underway. Baltimore Ravens. They have some injuries. A crushing blow to Baltimore Ravens. Marcus Peters, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards all are lost for the season. But that, they have Superman Jackson. That alone in their defense should be enough to propel them. Got to be cautious with this team before giving them a lot more love in the NFL power rankings. But I'm going to see if Superman Jackson can do his thing against John Gruden and the Raiders football team. Really like that. So I like that as Big C's NFL top 10. And then you have a lot of good teams that are talking about what they're going to do. I want to just pay homage to the Denver Broncos going across the country. When you think about touchdown Teddy Bridgewater, to go into New York and beat up the Giants, protecting the football, taking care of the defense gives them. I mean, everybody's talking about a victory. The New York Giants and Jerry Jeudy injury devastating on offense. But you look at what he did. That good old boy, he earned his stripes. Touchdown Teddy Bridgewater. Everybody can talk about how good he is or what he did for Minnesota. Sit there, let him go in Carolina. No. I really think that he showed what he's able to do. And when you think about it, I think that he's going to help Denver. Not that they're going to win. I think the AFC West is going to come down to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a toss-up between the Chargers and the Broncos because both of those good boys won on the road. That's impressive. They won on the road. The Raiders at home tonight will most likely lose unless they get some type of odd win. But I also picked a lot of good teams. I'm just going to go with what happened on September the 12th. Again, I had Tampa Bay beating Dallas. They won that September 9th. Philadelphia over Atlanta 32-6. Pittsburgh 23-16 over Buffalo. I picked that. I lost the Minnesota-Cincinnati game. It went to overtime. Cincinnati 27-24 overtime. The 49ers 41-33 over Detroit. I picked that game right. And the Arizona over Tennessee. It was 38-13. I actually lost that game. So I beg your pardon on that. But I won the Seattle 28-16 over Indianapolis. I had the Chargers over Washington. It was 20-16. What a great game by the Chargers. I picked Carolina to beat the Jets. That was 19-14. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. I had Houston beating Jacksonville 37-21. And so much for the number one draft pick. Trevor Lawrence lost his first game ever as a regular season player from high school and college. So now he's going to have more experiences of that down in Jacksonville. Kansas City over Cleveland. I picked that game. It was 33-29. What a game. A comeback by Kansas City. I also picked Miami to knock off the New England Patriots. Big C Sports had that game. I picked it right. All fair and love and war. And then it was 17-16. Miami could have won by a much bigger margin. Their defense is legit. But to go in there and win a game against Belichick, his former protege, you got to give them some props. All fair and love and war. New Orleans 38-3 over Green Bay. I lost that pick. I thought touchdown Aaron Rodgers would come and win that game. But it's my fault also. Rodgers didn't have any preseason. He keeps complaining about the organization. If you're behind the center, you can change this. You can audible. If he hasn't learned that since LaFleur sent on the field goal team last year in the NFC Championship game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just throw him off the field. Tom Brady does it all the time. Wave him back to the sideline. I got this play. If you touchdown Aaron Rodgers, quit talking about how you don't like the organization and audible, if that makes sense to you. I got the LA Rams over Chicago. Justin Fields, don't play him yet. But it was 34-14, the Rams over the Bears. Over the Bears. So that's Big C Sports NFL picks. I really appreciate it. I got tonight Baltimore beating the Raiders. But I wanna just run down just a few more things about what I saw in the NFL before I get into Major League Baseball. Teams in the NFC West were so prolific Sunday, going 4-0 in 3 different time zones. The great touchdown Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. They had a great game. Cliff Kingsbury's offense dominating the AFC South favorite Tennessee Titans. Touchdown Murray accounted for 5. It was 5 touchdowns. Up to the line of scrimmage, Murray, 4 wideouts, 5-man front by Tennessee. Murray with the snap, rolling to his right, rolling. Now he's rolling to his left. Now he's rolling to his right again. Now he's rolling to his left. Nice step touching pass. Throws downfield and is caught in the end zone for the touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins. Murray, 50 yards. Man, he's like a pinball machine. You don't know where he's going. And neither did the defense. What a great game by him. Really appreciate that. The defensive end, Chandler Jones, had a week 1 record. 5 sacks. 5. Not 1, not 2, not 3 by 4, but 5. 5 sacks, all fair and level war. There are 2 performances that I thought were amazing on such historical significance. Seattle Seahawks touchdown quarterback Russell Wilson against Indianapolis ranks the 6th best Week 1 passer rating since the 2000 at 156.1. And then Rams quarterback Matt Stafford topped it with 156.3. They're the same division. They'll face each other twice in the NFC West. They did that against the Bears on Sunday night for the 5th best Week 1 mark. There weren't any dink and dunk passes either. Wilson 11.4 yards per attempt with the 19th longest average in Week 1 since 2000. And Stafford's 12.35 ranks 10th. I mean, there's some good old things happening in football. I love it. Jamal Adams ponders what the team's use of rookie quarterback Justin Fields pretends to be. I mean, if you think about it, there's so many good football players, but don't rush these young players along. I mean, I just feel like it. If you get too, what you call antsy with your players, you don't want to go out there and feel like you're going to put Fields out there and beat the Rams. You're not going to do that. That's just my opinion. There's so many things to consider. I know there's going to be a lot of heat on the shoulders back in Chicago. And when you think about it, even in New England, Mac Jones had just on his first career NFL touchdown pass, a 7-yarder to Nelson Aguilar, the second quarter Sunday's season opener against the Patriots and the Dolphins, Gillette Stadium. But now it's getting a little bit squirrely. His teammates tried to give him he didn't want to have the football. Like, hey, we got a lot to do. But either way, I wish him nothing but the best, but they would have done better if they would have kept Cam Newton, my opinion. He was easy to read in Mac Jones. All the Miami players are saying that. That's just my opinion. But you give players a chance. You know, Trey Lance had a chance. Jimmy G looked sharp with the 49ers and touchdowns with the 49ers. Quarterback Jimmy G couldn't handle the season's very first snap. It was a fumble. It was just a missed snap. That's all it was. Nothing to write home about on the first play. The Detroit Lions recovered the fumble. Kyle Shanahan's 49ers offense under such scrutiny over the past several months as it's loaded up and prepared for a 2-quarterback attack. You think about it. Trey Lance's first pass was a touchdown. That shows you how good the 49ers are. But Jimmy G is still, in my opinion, the quarterback that's going to lead the 49ers. I really like Trey Lance, but Jimmy G, I think he's 23-8 now as a starter. Now, I want to just talk a little bit for you boys in Indianapolis. People say don't put it on Carson Wentz this time. But Carson Wentz, again, they lost the game. They lost the game with Carson Wentz. He was traded from Philadelphia because he was going to be the star, the new Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. But it didn't work out. They're always going to find someone else to blame. He just doesn't see him himself. That's just my opinion. I said it a long time ago. I wish him nothing but the best. But how does Carson Wentz have a job in the NFL and Cam Newton doesn't? I mean, someone has to prove it to me. Why? It's all fair and love and war. But that's NFL football, and you got to like it. If your team has a chance to win a game, you got to go out there and do it. But the Packers, the most surprising thing was the Packers lost 38-3. 38-3 to the Saints. Who did say they're going to beat them Saints? Not the Packers. All fair and love and war. We're going to take some time for the Big C timeout, also known as the Big C pause. And when we come back, we're going to talk about, are you ready for some baseball? In the words of the great Honest Word Digger, former California governor, I'll be back. All right, we're back for the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports on 17 podcast applications all over the universe. 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications all over the sports universe. Really appreciate that. It's all fair and love and war. Are you ready for some baseball? Of course. Welcome to the show. I really want those World Series tickets for the San Francisco Giants. Going to look at some baseball coming up before we close out on tonight's talk about NFL football kicking off already down in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of a packed house. I mean, the crowd is already going nuts down in Las Vegas. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. We will see. In fact, this segment is sponsored by Exotic Meats. The Big C Burger is a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meat? It's all fair in level war. Are you ready with the baseball? Going to start off flying into Washington, D.C., and the Miami Marlins will fly into town, taking on the Washington Nationals. We have runners on first and second. The pitch. They hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The great Tony Montana from Scarface. It's all fair and level war. People say, what does it mean when you say hello to my little friend? Watch Scarface. You'll get the picture. You'll understand it. All fair and level war. On the mound, pitching to Sonny Alcantara. Also pay attention to that bat, Juan Soto. Also, Aristides Escobar. Keep that in mind. I can't give you much more than that because I want to keep all my fingers for that Big C burger. At the same time, I'm going to fly into Toronto, Canada. The Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Tampa Bay Rays are doing their thing. We have runners on first and third. Counts full. The pitch 3-2. The pitch hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Pay attention to pitching. Ryan Yarbrough also at bat. Teoscar Hernandez as well as Bo Bichette. We're going to fly out of Toronto into LaGuardia, New York City. I don't want to go in the JFK because last time you heard the story, I had flown in the JFK. I was missing some luggage. I said, man, where's my luggage? So I went to baggage claim. They told me they couldn't find the luggage, so they would call me if they found it. They called me and said, Mr. Curry, we found your luggage. I said, yeah. I was celebrating like, yeah, celebrate, good time, come on. So I went to get my luggage, and I said, where's my burgers? They said, what burgers? I said, you have my luggage, but what happened to the Big C burgers? They said, what Big C burgers? I said, the Big C burgers that were inside the luggage. They said, we didn't see any Big C burgers inside the luggage. I said, well, that's all I had inside the luggage. They said, well, they couldn't confirm or deny if there were any Big C burgers in the luggage, but they did find 12 grease stains. I said, that's from all those exotic meats. It's all fair and level. Now flying to LaGuardia. Those good old boys, they knew what they were doing at JFK. We have the Mets in town. What a great game last night against the Yankees. The St. Louis Cardinals are in town today. We have the counts at 3-2. Runners on first and third. That pitch hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, especially in New York City. They all love to hit deep in New York City. The Big Apple should be home of the Big C Burger. Adam Wainwright on the mound. Keep in mind, also at bat, Dylan Carlson. Those are the only names I can give you. Going to go to Houston, find in Texas, going to find at DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. What a beautiful airport. We have Houston flying in town in Texas. We have runners on first and third. The pitch hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. All 15,000 fans cheering. The girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep, even if you only have 15,000 fans cheering. Spencer Howard doing his thing on the mound. Yuli Gurriel and Kyle Tucker, pay attention to them at bat. Also Jordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, as well as Alex Bergman, and then Jordan Alvarez. I mean, it's all fair and level war. I'm going to fly into the city by the bay, San Francisco, California, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, the City Kid. The Padres coming to town. We have runners on first and third. The count's full, 3-2. The pitch swung on, hit deep. Right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. It's all fair and level war in San Francisco. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, especially when it lands in McCovey Cole on the mound. The great Hugh Darvish has a 3.95 ERA. He's a Jedi Knight. He's a gunslinger. Not so fast, my friend, Dominic Leone for the Giants. He has a 1.48 ERA. He's a Jedi Knight. He's a gunslinger. I really like the San Francisco Giants. I'm going to take it next to the Miami. Actually going to fly up north to Seattle. SeaTac Airport. Seattle Mariners taking on the Boston Red Sox. Runners on first and third. The pitch hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep in Seattle. That's why they're always sleepers. Everybody hitting deep. Say hello to my little friend. Everybody hitting deep in Seattle. That's why it's called Sleepless in Seattle, home of the exotic meats. And speaking of exotic meats, I love Seattle. The fish market this segment sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meats? All fair and level work. Keep in mind, at that beautiful game, at that beautiful stadium up in Seattle, Eduardo Rodriguez, also at bat, Logan Gilbert. And then I'm going to bring you to two more games. I'm going to bring you to the Minnesota at the New York Yankees. The Yankees don't win. The Yankees don't win. The runners on first and third. They count full. The pitch hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball in New York. And in New York City, the men love to hit deep. All fair in 11 war. The Minnesota Twins are in town on the mound. Ralph Garza Keep that in mind. And Clay Holmes on the mound for the Yankees. I'm going to bring it out to Southern California, the West Coast. The Los Angeles Dodgers have that ravines. The Arizona Diamondbacks are in town. The Dodgers are 91-53 at home, second place behind the Dodgers, behind the Giants in first place. Runners on first and third. They count for the pitch. He'll slug on and hit deep. Left field, back to the wall, home run! Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball in L.A., and in L.A., the men love to hit deep. All fair in love and war. The Dodgers, keep that in mind, on the mound, Zach Gallen, and also good boy by the name of Clayton Kershaw. He has a 3.39 ERA. The great Clayton Kershaw. He's a Jedi Knight. He's a gunslinger. All fair in love and war. But tonight, everything is about what's going on in Las Vegas with the Raiders. It's a beautiful Allegiant Stadium. The crowd is packed. The Al Davis torch is lit. Everybody's having a good time down in Las Vegas tonight. Have some friends that are down there in Las Vegas also. Pay attention to SuperDraftPro.com/Big C Sports for the best sporting app in the history of the universe. Sponsored by Caesars Entertainment as all fair level work. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee. What's all this exotic meat? Ali ate a lot of exotic meat, and Ali loved to hit deep just like in Major League Baseball. It's all fair level work. My beautiful mama always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And I want to say happy birthday, Malcolm. I love you, son. I love you like breathing. The best son in the history of the universe. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports podcast, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. Everybody needs an arc in their life.